Last week we said baseball is boring, but is it? Let's talk about it. Folks, welcome to the Baseball Brewhaha. We're talking baseball and we're talking about the boredom therein, though we didn't exactly say it that way. Um, Adam, maybe you want to give a little refresher. What did we say?
We're talking about the baseball. A lot of baseball is about the space in between.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking about kids and they do something fun and they're waiting for the next fun thing to come along. And then they're like, I'm bored. And boredom
Yeah.
is like the space in between. And sometimes baseball gets described as boring.
Mm-hmm.
I think for that reason, there's a lot of space in between.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I thought this would be interesting because to talk about because if you're not used to that, if you've not played much, you've not um, watched much, you're sitting there like, I mean, obviously you can tell like they're preparing for the next pitch, but like, what is actually happening in that space between? And so I have some thoughts in terms of kind of how it relates to some of the things I've been doing in my own life. But even thinking practically back to our playing days, or if you just want to riff on it a little bit here, Adam, how would you describe what happens in the in between?
It depends on the role, right? So
Sure.
if
Hmm.
you're a player, there's a lot that's happening in the in between. You're prepping for the next pitch, the next batter, the next play, whatever needs to happen in the game. Um, if you're a coach, you're doing similar things, trying to shift the players where they need to be, give signs for strategy, whatever.
Hmm.
Okay. Um, but then I was okay. So I had a fun experience today. Love the start of baseball season.
Hmm.
Listen to my first spring training game of the season on the radio.
On 710.
710
Okay.
ESPN
Mhm.
Seattle, the Mariners. I caught a little bit of a couple other games, including Juan Soto hitting a home run in his first ever at bat as a New York Met.
Mhm.
Um, but there's so much that happens in between in those games that's like fun. They're
Mhm.
telling funny stories about the players, and
Yeah.
because the games don't really mean much,
Mhm.
they're just riffing on whatever. There's a lot of entertainment there. You learn about the players, you learn about different
Mhm.
personalities around the game,
Mhm.
and so there's a lot of fun there in that role.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. So, um, you touched on something. I want to go back a little bit to something you said. You were talking about it depends on your role. So it certainly does. Um, but even within, you said, well, if you're a player doing X, Y, Z. But even if you're a player, it depends on what position you play.
Yeah.
It has a lot to do. So, obviously, if you're pitcher catcher, you're focused solely on making the next pitch call and you're getting ready for that. Now, if you're playing some other position, like you and I played a lot of infield. So, what do you can you think back to in between pitches? What are you doing as an infielder? What are you thinking about?
I'm thinking about two primary things. The first is what's the situation
Hmm.
in terms of how many outs there are? Are there runners on base? Who's up to bat? Are they power hitter? Might they bunt? Are
Hmm.
they fast? Do I need to position myself a little bit differently
Hmm.
to potentially field a ball based on the speed of the runner? That kind of thing. So I'm thinking about just the situation. What's happening in this moment? What do I need to be thinking about? Um, I'm also thinking about the pitch that's being called. So I played shortstop and second base, so middle infield. So I could see the call that was being made on the pitch.
Hmm.
And so then I'm paying attention to that because I know if they're going to throw a fastball, it might be more likely that the ball is going to be hit the opposite way rather
Hmm.
than pulled, and vice versa. Curveball changeup is more likely to be pulled to the pull side of the hitter. So I might shade a little bit that direction, or I might just prepare myself to be ready to move in that direction.
Hmm.
You mentioned you played third base. You can't necessarily see the pitches. What was it like for you?
Yeah. So, I mean, similar in that I think in one of the things you're looking at, I was actually talking with a friend of mine kind of about this sort of thing that I think I recognize, like, I didn't necessarily pinpoint it as this, but it makes a lot of sense is that I played a lot of catcher. So, I kind of, even at third base, I'm paying attention to the same things that a catcher is paying attention to. And one of those is every time the batter swings or every time a pitch comes in, the batter is giving you information about their ability to catch up with a pitch or hit an off speed pitch. And so every single pitch, um, you're you may not make a physical adjustment, but you might be making a mental adjustment.
Yeah.
Count changes. Um, Even if you got a runner on first, the guy steals second. Now my whole situation changes. Um, so uh, so there's a lot of those things, and so what I wanted to focus on is this whole thing of preparation. So in baseball, in these in between times, you are you're always thinking about what's going to happen, and then you are also visualizing in a way of if there's a runner on first and the guy hits it to me, what am I doing with the ball? And that can be dependent upon if he bunts it, if he hits a slow chopper versus just a regular ground ball, if he hits a line drive. All of these things you are visualizing in advance so that when the ball is hit to you, you already know what you are doing. Does that make sense? I mean, it
It
makes sense
does.
to you.
Yeah, well, and it's not only preparation for yourself.
Hmm.
There's quite a bit of communication that's happening
Hmm.
between teammates. There's the pitcher catcher relaying the pitch signals, and the infielders maybe picking up those pitch signals. If there's a runner on base, the
Hmm.
middle in like especially on first base, and you're thinking they might try to steal
Hmm.
second base or even third base, you're communicating with your middle infielder about who's going to cover the base.
Hmm.
You're in between pitches, you're communicating with the outfield, perhaps about how many outs there are.
Hmm.
Do you need to shade a little different way? Some middle infielders will give hand signals to the outfielders about what
Hmm.
pitches are coming so that they can prepare and adjust for that as well. So there's a lot of communication happening. And sometimes you mentioned something like a bunt. Sometimes teams will have a team strategy. If this player bunts, this is what we are going to try to do.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Speaking of bunting, I just remember this story. I remember it was earlier in the season. I think we were playing Colton down in Asotin, and I think it was our senior year. I'm pretty sure it was. And I'm playing third base, and for whatever reason, I felt like when they had a runner on third, I was always watching their coach's signal calling, what he was relaying to the batter,
Mm-hmm.
and I couldn't have told you like this exact thing is a squeeze bunt, but on this particular play, I was like, they're doing a squeeze bunt, and I got the call right. I busted into home. The batter missed the sign.
Oh
I'm
no.
I'm 20 feet away from the plate, and the guy takes a full swing and hits it to me. And I fielded it, and Mitch was playing catcher. He thought that he popped it up, so I like fielded it. The guy's breaking. He's down the third base line, and I kind of did a little shovel pass to Mitch, and he missed it because he was like looking up, trying to find a pop up, and it was just a crazy play. But I was like, man, the kid got reamed pretty good because he just about killed me. I mean, it was crazy plays, but like those kind of things too are happening.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking about this because I started over the last couple of months. I've started doing some um, kind of time in silence or meditation, if you want to call it, and also like kind of reading through um, kind of just sort of the kind of person that I'm committing myself to be. The best dad I can be, the best husband I can be. Um, I'm going to be coaching my son's baseball team, so preparing, like just mentally, like I'm committed to being the best baseball coach that I can be. And here's the reasons why. And then on top of that is starting to think through what does that actually look like and how do I execute that. And so like today I took my youngest daughter, to a birthday party, and I ended up standing around for like 30 minutes while she was swimming in the pool. And I'm starting to think about what's practice going to look like. What am I communicating to the parents? And it made me think that I feel like for a lot of my life, um, I have just reacted to what's come in as far as information. So it would be akin to like the way that basically like young kids play baseball. People who actually young kids or just people who are inexperienced, they haven't, so they're kind of just standing there. They're kind of waiting for something to happen. They get the ball hit to them. First of all, it's kind of like their body language is kind of like, whoa, boy, there's a ball coming over here. And so then they have that reaction, and they're focused on getting the ball, and they don't know what to do with it when they have it. And so then they might field it, and then they look up and they kind of look around and see like, okay, what I'm doing. And there are times when that happens, even to the best players. You kind of have to re-situate on the fly, but um, but it made me think about that. It made me think about like so many times in my life I've just kind of like I'm not. You can't prepare for every single thing. That's kind of, sort of the point I'm making there. But I also think we can prepare for a lot more than we actually do. And so, anyway, I was just thinking about that. I thought that was an interesting thought, something I've been working on, and I thought it paralleled really well because in baseball when we were playing, we were like we knew this is what's happening. If this, then this, and we knew every situation that was gonna that how to essentially everything, every situation, what to do.
That's a really good parallel. We're like thinking about how you and I talk about this quite a bit about how there's so many ways that baseball parallels or mirrors life.
Hmm.
And this is one of them where sometimes you learn as you go, sometimes there's a lot of opportunity for preparation and for even like preparation in the moment for the next moment. Um, and baseball is a good metaphor for that. And as one thing that we have the sort of background to experience, like at a baseball game, is
Hmm.
understanding what's happening in between the pitches.
Yeah.
And I think what we would always perhaps encourage the casual fan to do is to pay attention to some of those. See if you can try and figure out what's happening. Oh, you notice that this player moved here. Why do you think they might have done that?
Hmm.
And try and pick up on some of those pieces. Another fun thing that I like to do in those downtimes is if I'm just there as a casual fan, I will keep score. Learned how to keep score when I was young, and it's a great way to stay focused on the game. And then you're tracking what's happening in the game, making notes, and oftentimes that becomes my souvenir because I've been to enough games that I will forget most of the games that I've been to. But I
Mm.
can always go back and look at a scorecard and remember pretty easily what happened based on the scorecard.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, it's great. I mean, it's great exercise, and it helps you learn that kind of thing too. Helps you learn and understand um, what's happening in the game, and I think I think there's a certain amount of you can enjoy something more if you understand what's happening. It's the same thing. If it doesn't matter, sport, even um, even like going to a ballet or a symphony or something like that. Like the more that you understand what's happening there, the more you can enjoy it. The more you understand like some of the nuances and little pieces there that, like me going to a symphony or something like that, I can enjoy in the fact that hey, this is really beautiful. But there are other people there who have had many years playing or teaching or that kind of thing, and the nuanced things are just things that become very delightful to them. And so it's like for me, I can go and just like yeah, it's just all these little small nuanced things are just become um, really enjoyable. You see them, and we actually there was a game. Oh, you and I went to the game, but we watched you when you were in town a couple years ago. We watched the White Sox of the Rockies, and we sat third deck on the third base side, and White Sox were up. They had a left-handed batter up, and the Rockies. This is before they limited the shift, so the Rockies were way shifted to the right field side. Rocky's third baseman Ryan McMahon was kind of way over, and so the White Sox base runner on third base was getting this big lead, and they ran this kind of reverse kind of McMahon snuck over behind, and they picked him off at third base. And it was like I saw it coming, I saw it happening, and it was like, oh, it was like, because you're watching it sort of unfold, and just kind of um, the awareness that obviously the catcher must have communicated that in some way. But anyway, we're getting tangent a little bit there, but yeah, I thought it was interesting preparation. Um, and kind of speaking of a little bit here, um, I got to see our friend Adam Ellis here recently, the Idaho Vandals basketball. He's an assistant coach traveling up in my territory up at northern Colorado in Greeley, and we went up to practice. Me and my kids, we went up to watch the Vandals practice because we couldn't make it to the game, and so the amount of preparation that they're doing, film and all these things, they're visualizing and seeing, and they're really trying to put themselves in that position to be ready to play that game was incredible. So I think about the level of preparation we were doing was even, I mean, at a professional level, it's just, I mean, it's a whole nother level. So, and I was talking with Adam. I told him that we did a back pain episode here recently, and he was like, you should have interviewed me. I got so much back pain. So that I think I feel like maybe this summer when he's like, or when he's off season, we should see if we can get him on. That'd
Yeah,
be a fun
that'd
time.
be great. Let's do it.
Let's do it. So, well, Adam, we got a last thing we got to do before we get on out of here is I've been anticipating this for a while,
Mm-hmm.
thinking about it. I've been processing. I've been trying to think about the emotions, either you know, either way it's going to go. I got Bowman '89,
Yes.
and so we gotta buzz my last pack of Bowman '89 that I have right now. So, so let's get into it.
Bowman 89. So, Aaron, you got a pack there. Let's set the stage. Just sort of
Mm-hmm.
like this is like the in between, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right before the action starts. Okay. Bowman 89. Why is this important? Ken Griffey Jr.'s rookie year. Are we going to
Mm-hmm.
pull it? One thing that I always didn't love about Bowman 89
Mm-hmm.
is the size of the cards.
Yeah. Yes, yeah, it's one of those things too where it kind of sneaks up on you because like right now, just holding the pack, you're like, oh, it's just regular, it's
Yep.
regular cards, and then you like start trying to stack it with other cards, and boy, I mean, it becomes painful very quickly.
Well, and my vivid memory is we would put them in the pages,
Yeah,
to
they're
the
sticking
protector
out.
pages, and they would stick out, but it would really get me when I'd stick it down in there
Hmm.
and it would hit the bottom and that top piece would crease a little bit. It was just my heart would break.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you and I aren't ones to. I mean, sometimes yes, but you and I aren't ones to quibble too much over a crease. We got a lot of
No.
those going on in our collection, um, for good reason, really good reason actually. So let's dive in here. This is it's screaming at me here. The cellophane package. So I don't even have like a real pack, which is unfortunate, but it's what it is. So the first thing we got here coming out hot is we got Richie Ashburn
Yeah. That's
was
fun.
was not still active in 1989, but it's a fun little. Um, it's like some sweepstakes card. And then we go. Hey, here we go. Center fielder, major center field in 1989. Devon White,
Mm-hmm.
good player. We've got Tim Burke, Jerry Royce. The thing that's also kind of interesting about the Bowman, and I don't know if it's just this year, but the way they do the stats is they do it like against each team that year,
Yeah.
and they just kind of have their total stats, on the end there. It's unique for sure. Tim Jones,
Mm-hmm.
uh huh. We got here. We got Greg Swindell. We got Greg Gagne. Adam, we got a hit. We got a hit.
Hit. What do we got?
Checklist.
Yeah.
Yeah, all kinds of names on there. We got Kurt Stillwell. Uh-huh. Bob Brower.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Bob. Making an appearance. Sid Fernandez. Mike Lavalier. I love
Mm-hmm.
Mike Lavalier. And then we're going to finish. Left handed hitting outfielder. Let's go. Is it? No. It's John Shelby.
Okay.
So no Griffey. We went hunting. We got Richie Ashburn and not no other Hall of Famers, but bring it full circle here. All these guys. I mean, we kind of it's natural. You look at it and you're like, oh, it's just Kurt Stillwell. He's just a guy. But I I think people, I think it's hard to understand how good you have to be just to like get called up. Like
Yeah.
it's insane. Like the level of talent these guys have. Um, So anyway, the preparation, all stuff we've been talking about, the mental side of the game is just it's incredible that they're able to. Um, Speaking and one more thing, speaking of the mental side, I didn't bring the book with me, but I got the Edgar Martinez autobiography for Christmas, and I just finished reading it. It's a great book, really good book, really well kind of written, kept in a lot of his language. He talks in his book a lot about the mental side of the game and what he did, and in particular, you talk about preparation. Guy was meticulous, but he had an eye condition. Yeah, I don't know. Did you know this? That he had like this
A
eye
little bit,
condition?
a little
Yeah.
bit. Yeah.
But he couldn't like basically his one of his eyes would kind of just sort of like kind of like basically like an extreme lazy eye. And so he was doing eye exercises every single day and sometimes like in between at baths and all this. So it was crazy the amount of just reading about that, the amount of preparation, the focus, um, and for him to have to fight through that, I mean, you have to see. I mean, and so
Yeah.
for him to fight through that, not only just to be successful, but to become a Hall of Famer is just it was unbelievable to read about that.
Yeah. And so many of these major league players have similar type stories of the ways that
Mhm.
they needed to prepare, the way their bodies were unique, that kind of thing. And so,
Mhm.
um, but it doesn't, it's not just baseball. This
It's
applies
yeah.
to anybody. And the more intention you put into your preparation,
Mhm.
better the results typically.
Yeah, you do the preparation and then you visualize. You play that over in your mind, um, and you got to be positive with that too. Um, Edgar talked about he got in a funk where he was like, "Don't hit it to me. I'm going to mess it up." And just that's just kills you. It's like so. So anyway, we encourage you prepare if you got something, especially you got something big coming up, or even just your family. I mean, every single little thing in your life can be made so much better and more fulfilling just by being prepared for it and thinking about it. So we're done for today. Thanks for hanging with us. We'll see you next time.